5:15, March 15th, time for the regular city council meeting, so I will call the meeting to order. Jane, if you would please take roll call.
Shaven.
Aye.
Kroger. Here. Blatt.
Here.
Christensen.
Here.
Council members Rudolph and Peterson are both absent tonight and have let us know.
Okay, thank you. And you all have received the agenda in advance. Any questions on that? Hearing none, I would look for a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Kroger with second by Christensen.
Roll call. Shaven.
Aye.
Kroger.
Aye.
Blatt.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
And please state any conflicts of interest if they arise tonight. Takes us on to item 2, then the consent agenda.
Mike, I will be abstaining from, excuse me, number 4F.
Okay, on the agenda, yep.
Yes.
When we get down to other business.
Yep, thanks.
Yep. Okay. For the consent agenda then tonight, it includes the minutes of the March 1st council meeting, claims list number 1262 in the amount of $97,698.42, the expenditure and revenue reports for the month of February, the police statistical report for the month of February, a renewal application by Yesway for a Class C liquor license, a Class C beer permit, and a Class B wine permit, and a renewal application by Mikasa for a Class C liquor license, and a renewal application by Victoria Station for a Class C liquor license with outdoor service and Sunday sales, Sunday service. Any questions on those items? Okay, hearing none, I look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Blatt,
Second.
second by Christensen.
Roll call. Shaven.
Aye.
Kroger.
Aye.
Blatt.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, motion carries. Item number 3, it's time for a public hearing regarding proposed fiscal year 22-23 annual budget. So I will let Jane and Jean walk us through that one last time, I think.
We have not received any written or oral objections.
Any council members received any feedback on what's been published? Okay, do we need any other discussion or updates on it then?
If there's anyone that
Anybody here
doesn't have
want
any
to speak to
comments?
this?
I would just add a comment that this process began back in late October, November, multiple months of planning. Kudos and hats off to city staff, department heads, time and energy put in being fiscally responsible, yet also taking care of public purpose and needs. I believe we've been more than prudent as we have been the last number of years, being mindful of the different levers, knowing between valuations, levy, and also, as I look across the table here with Jane, also being very diligent with grant and alternative funding opportunities, which lessens the local tax burden. So that's all testament to the final number. I did share this at the last meeting. You as council members have seen this before, but this does help tell the story. I don't know that I can get it all on the screen because it goes back 11 to 12 years. Yet it's that relationship between property values, property valuation, and levy. So the red's the property valuation line, which shows that we had nearly a 4% across all property classes increase from prior year. The green row, as well as the green line across the bottom, which stays fairly stagnant, which is the request for property tax dollars. And the net change from last year is at 1.33% increased request for property tax dollars. And I think we all know what's happened with prices and inflation and cost of services, wages, again, all these moving levers in accomplishing that. I believe that's a very, very sound number. And the levy, once again, the last item we would comment on, which is what will be certified, is a levy rate of 16.35835, which is nearly a 3% drop in the levy. Which again, that's represented by the beautiful blue bar chart. So, thank you. Anything you want to add to that, Jane?
Nope. I appreciate the time everyone's committed to working on this. Our supervisors and our staff, council, mayor, Jean.
A lot of time and effort by mostly you two, but also by council members on this, so do appreciate their time. If there are No other questions, then I would look for a motion to close the hearing at this time. Motion by Shaven,
Second?
and second by Kroger.
Roll call Shaven.
Aye.
Kroger.
Aye.
Blatt.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
Okay, the hearing has been closed. That takes us then to Resolution 2481 to adopt the annual budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023. And there's no other discussion needed probably, since we just had that discussion. And look for a motion then to adopt.
So moved.
Motion by Blatt,
Second.
second by Christensen.
Roll call Shaven.
Aye.
Kroger.
Aye.
Blatt.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries, and that job is done. Thank you. Item 4 then, Scott Pigsley and Scott McLaughlin are here from the airport to give us an update on happenings there. So, Mr. Pigsley, take it away.
Just make
Yeah,
an
go ahead.
additional introduction. The most recently, Scott and Scott appeared at the County Board of Supervisors and provided a similar update to the Board of Supervisors as well as the community. Thought it would be nice to duplicate that here. A few of you have sat on the commission, a great opportunity with the media coverage to further update about the airport, the value of it, the activity that does happen there, and this was the right audience to do that, so take it away, Scott.
Okay. PowerPoint there ready?
We'll see if it's ready, sure hope so, but yeah, go right ahead.
That's our front sign outside front of the airport. It's kind of referred to both as the Harlan Airport and Ruschenberg Field. And one of the things has come up over conversations that nobody sees much happening out at the airport, just driving by on a highway at highway speeds, kind of easy to miss things. And some of the other parts of the conversation is what is our visual or sensory perceptions when we drive by, what do we see, conditions of hangars, the grass, and if there's any airplanes or activity there. And this is kind of the front door of the community of Harlan, because people see that when they're commuting in off the interstate and flying into the area. This is what they see not only of Harlan, but this Shelby County per se as well. Because they're stopping for fuel, food, and a number of different things. Go ahead for the next slide. Some of the early facts about the airport. Civic groups back in '44 petitioned for a special election to purchase and construct a municipal airport. In June of '44, the city of Harlan purchased 100 acres from CNN and Mary Christensen for an amount of $20,000. That's where the airport is currently. Hangar 5, which is the furthest north along by the highway, is the first hangar that was built on the field, and it was occupied by Alvin and Lawrence Ruschenberg, and they had their office in the east end of that. And it's also referred to as the Hooligan hangar. And then the first flight breakfast in the country was held in 1945. Hangar 2 was built in 1946, which is the round roof or Quonset-shaped hangar just north of the office. In 1946, with old oil well drilling pipe from a construction company out of Kansas. And Lawrence and Olaf Johnson, I think, occupied that for the first few years. Our next slide is kind of the aerial view of what the airport looked like in 1950 with 2 grass strips. The furthest one to the top side is our hangar 5, then there's a hangar in the middle, and then the bottom one is our hangar 2 that is currently our 2 oldest structures on the property out there. Our next slide will show you our current aerial view of the entire airport. We have 9 hangars that are being rented to tenants from all over the 14 county residents, 9 Harlan residents, 13 are non-residents that are renting the hangars. So we have a total of 28 airplanes presently on the field. 2 of them are crop dusting airplanes, which are in the big hangar to the furthest north. and one twin engine, and then the rest are small single engine general aviation airplanes. We have the paved runway parallel taxiway, which is required by FAA for safety, having that parallel taxiway. That way there could be takeoff and landings and aircraft taxiing and not interfering with each other for more efficient movement. We have two instrument approaches for the paved runway, one to the north and one to the south for approaches, which gets you down to about 500 feet off the ground with a mile visibility to find the airport. Hangar 8 and 9, which is the furthest two to the north, were privately built and are now property of the city of Harlan because they've been vacated by their previous owners in that obligation. Okay, for the next slide. Okay. Oh, go to the next one. I didn't have you advance. Sorry about that.
Oh, yeah.
That's just the last details.
9
I just
hangars
went
and
over.
28 planes. And
Yeah.
Scott, real quick, the grass runway, is that used just when the wind is strong from the wrong direction? And how often does that happen? How often does
It's not very often. It's utilized by some people for the smaller tail draggers, people like that that have that capability because it is a shorter runway. It's 1,700 feet, whereas the paved runway is 4,100 feet. And that's someday in the future, like Atlantic, when they put in their new runway, which is 5,000 feet, which is more conducive to a lot of the corporate jets and stuff. For insurance purposes, they're required to have 5,000 feet. Might take cooperation with the county and maybe some state and to lengthen the runway out to 5,000 feet.
that would be the current concrete runway?
Yeah, yeah. Or totally put in a whole different one at a different angle, whatever works out, because we're kind of bottled in with the highways and the hill to the north.
how many months have we been at, of the 28 spaces, have we been at 100% occupancy?
It's about 6, I think.
6, 7 months, and we've had, at least for the first time that I can recall, had a small waiting list as well.
Right.
Which,
Even when we weren't full, it was only one space and it was brief, if I remember right.
Yeah, and I've taken some calls from seeking space for like corporate planes, which would only fit in that large hangar to the north, so we don't have adequate space for some of the requests. So that's why we don't have that kind of waiting list either. Okay, activity that I observed, and I started this because like we kind of alluded to at first, driving by, you don't really realize what goes on at the airport unless you document it and collect that data. And even with my history background flying for 20 years for the state patrol, I kind of knew what goes on at the airports and stuff, but you never know what happens at the local levels day in and day out and who utilizes them. So with last year was the first year of having total stats that I know of and observed. There's 486 visiting aircraft, and the local airplanes were active 176 times out at the airport, which is pretty busy in the scheme of things compared to a lot of the airports in the area, because we have common area frequencies for some of the airports. Our frequency, radio frequency, is the same as Denison and Carroll and Red Oak, so I can hear how much traffic's coming and going from them. And we're busier Denison for the most part, about the same as Carroll. Red Oak's been getting a little bit more traffic just for the training kids that are, college kids that are learning in Council Bluffs. They spread out. I think some of them come up here to our airport and utilize the airfield for their training. Corporate businesses that have used the airport as Monogram Meats, Love's Truck Stop, and Flying J Truck Stop. Especially Love's, I know personally from conversations that they locate their truck stops in close proximity to airports so that the corporate people can fly around and check up on their assets and their businesses. Same way with Van Wall, John Deere, Life Flight, ISU, Kirkman Dairy, And then there's been other construction outfits, other technical services like mechanics or computer people that have come in to work on area business equipment in the area. They use small jets, turboprops, you'll see, and helicopters. You'll see some of that in the pictures I have included in this presentation. Our aircraft, which is our biggest activity, and it's usually July and into the first part of August. 6 to 8 airplanes fly daily in and out of there, and most of them are making a round about every hour. And they're spraying fungicide and insecticide for our local ag businesses like FS Angerland, FSC, Cyclone, Nutrient, and then there's some other jobs where they've been spreading cover crop and dry fertilizer. I estimate they're doing about 180,000 acres in the area. So, and there's about 20 to 30 people, support people coming and going all day long for these operations out there at the airport as well. Go to, yeah, thank you. 12 overnight stays or extended stay aircraft, courtesy car, which is an old police car cruiser that's been handed down to the airport, been used 41 times. And most of the visiting aircraft is visiting friends or family from all over the United States. We have planes come in from Florida, California, Tennessee, Missouri, Illinois, coming to visit family, people from across the state. Cross-country flights, stopping for night lodging or avoiding weather, or just to get fuel. I got some examples here we'll talk about shortly. And Victoria Station having the #1 for tenderloin. There's people flowing in just for that. Milk and honey, we got some regulars come out of Millard to come to Milk and Honey for breakfast or to go to the Bucksnort. Like I said, businesses, having people come in for tech support, delivering parts or picking up parts. There's a guy coming up from Kansas here in the next couple days to pick up parts from a couple places here. Specialized technicians from in-state and across state. Medical transports, one example is one of the helicopters broke down here at the hospital. By the time they got the parts in and got the bird flyable, winter weather was moving in last winter. And so they were just able to hop it up and bring it down to the airport. And I got a good working relationship with Pettis, who has rented the large hangar. And he had enough room that I could put the helicopter in there for life flight, and we housed it for 2 or 3 days before the weather cleared up that they could get it out of there. And they stopped through for fuel. There was one example here a couple months ago. I was called. They were going to be doing a transport from Mason City or Charles City area. They couldn't make it to Omaha, so they wanted to stop, have me come out and fuel them up hot, which means the bird is still sitting there running. But it didn't happen probably because the patient wasn't stable enough to make the trip, which is the sad part of that story. And then we have a lot of people coming through doing their training, like I said, from the Council Bluffs, and then others just out for pleasure. They want to go fly to different airports, say they've been there. Our fuel sales last year, we had 55,000 for Jet A sold gallons, and 8,500 gallons of 100 low lead said sold, for a total of almost 64,000. And about 50,000 gallon of Jet A is probably just sold in the month of July alone, just for the crop dusting. Probably go to the next slide.
Get the right one there?
Yeah, that's one I added.
I'm surprised you added a slide.
Yeah, I'm going by the old presentation with the slide that I added in there. The annual flight breakfast, we served 425 breakfasts last year, 15 fly-ins. We've been kind of a little black cloud following us around. We haven't had good weather for people to fly in like we have had in the past. We've been doing a fall soup fly, or we've been doing a spring soup fly-in, but we canceled that because of COVID and stuff, so we did a fall one. We're gonna do another spring one here, the 8-Ball Flying Club is, this Saturday, for people to fly in, just get them out flying and coming to our airport. And we served 14 planes, there's 50 people we served soup to last fall in October. And then a little side note for part of the presentation for a grant that we did for the supervisors. I figured out there was probably close to 3,000 people that have come through the airport out there, figuring the crop dusting season, our flight breakfast, our soup fly-in, and all the other air traffic that's come through, stopped to go through the bathroom, other guys stopping, and we have our hangar sessions where we sit out there and talk about airplanes, guns, and cars, and who knows what all we get into talking about. Not too much politics, so. Another thing I forgot to mention was brought up by the sheriff at the Board of Supervisors meeting is the sheriff's office and the PD hosted a kind of a regional training out at the airport, and they did some driving skills on the taxiway so it didn't interfere with landing and takeoffs of the airplanes. So they were able to bone up on their driving skills, and then they would practice traffic stops between the hangars, and they could do that freely out there and not be under the microscope of the public and that kind of thing. It was a pretty large group. It was Cass County, Ottoman County. I don't remember. I think there might have been somebody from Harrison County, as well as the PD, and I think Atlantic PD has some people there too. But then the local K-9 officers from the county stop out there frequently to run their dogs at night or even train. And then they also have regional training where they float around to the various counties and host training sessions. And so they meet up out at the airport as a focal point, and they either do some training there at the airport with their dogs, or they'll go elsewhere. And our airport is also used quite a bit for ride share. It's also used for people to meet, to swap kids or items that they're bringing to each other. And then I was going to talk about, we had 5 airplanes in on Saturday, and they were, Iowa State Patrol was in to pick up a trooper that's going to be switching over to be a pilot. We had 2 big twin engines come in. One come in from Massachusetts, stopped and got fuel. It was a family going on vacation out to Colorado for the spring break. Another one come out of Tennessee, and they stopped for fuel, and they were going to Bozeman, Montana. And while I was fueling up the King Air that was going to Colorado, there's some lady yelling at me from the frontage road out front. And when I got done, come find out, she was there to drop off a cat that was being picked up. She thought it was that plane I was fueling, but it was another one that was delayed. They were coming out of either Michigan or Wisconsin. We're going to stop by our airport, pick this cat up, and take it to family member down in Arkansas.
Never shortage of stories.
So far this month, we've sold 868 gallon of Jet A, 504 gallon of 100 low lead. Yeah. The day that I told Sharon or somebody, the day that we had that 3-inch snow, I had to scramble fast to get the runway, taxi lane, and ramp cleared, because we had a twin engine. They come in from Des Moines to pick up one of our locals they were wheels up by 9 o'clock from Harlan. Went to Chicago for a day meeting, and he was back here by 5 o'clock. So that's where airplanes get used a lot that people don't see. type deal. Okay, I think pretty much covers my notes. Go to, I got it right there. The picture on the left is a yellow ag aircraft, and they're loading dry cover crop in there, I believe that picture is. And the watershed for Nishnabotna River has been progressing up out of Missouri, and they've been spreading this cover crop to help with erosion in the watershed area. And they now finally, this was the second year they've been up here in the fall to spread the dry, or ryegrass and maybe some other turnips and stuff like that for cover crop. Then the one to the right is a panoramic picture of what's going on out there when the crop dusters are running with fungicide and insecticide. There's 2 planes right there in the center being loaded by our Jet A, which our ramp is too small and too congested when they're operating in the numbers that they are. And so it kind of ties up everything, so when corporate jets come in, we kind of get a big hassle going. Because we got to get these guys out of the way, get them in and get them filled up with fuel, and sometimes there's not room for them to park because they've got to have room to move these guys in and out. So been trying to figure out ways to maybe get partnership from the ag businesses, and my one idea kind of fizzled out because the cost of the project and concrete was twice what we figured, and was only going to do half the project. To have the businesses and the crop dusters kind of share foot the bill, we put in the engineering and maybe in the provide the ground. So that kind of project's kind of on hold. So, but like I said, they're loading 2 planes there, and then they, up by the big hangar, they usually load a couple planes up there as well. So almost need a control tower, it gets so busy. And then there's a kind of a snapshot of the 486 planes and aircraft that have been through. It's quite a who's who of a list. The upper left is Love's jet. The lower left is one of the mid-flight helicopters that come and staged and was waiting to see if they were going to transport. The helicopter up there in the top center was one that's been flying in to the Kirkman Dairy on a project that they're maybe going to be starting here this year. And front and center is ISU airplane here on doing a recruiting mission, maybe party here in the room. And then a little helicopter to the right there, lower right, coming through and fueled up. And then the nice, that's an experimental, it's a home-built airplane, it's an RV with a real nice paint job. He wasn't too sure about it, he thought he'd repaint it, we were trying to talk him out of it. He was passing through. I think he bought that down in Arizona, and he was going, I think, to Wisconsin is where his home was. And then our next slide.
Scott, just a question. Can you maybe share just a little bit of our thought process of, with the ag business and why there's so many ag planes out there, and what our strategy is with working with those?
Okay. Being as the fungicide has been so beneficial and insecticide for farmers to get them better crops, the ag businesses were pretty centrally located for the area, and were the most user-friendly for them to work in and out of, and for their region or their area that they're covering. And so the more efficient we can make that and keep them here, the more beneficial it is for us and them. It keeps their costs down, it keeps the farmers' costs down, and it also brings in revenue to the city and the county. And it also helps justify our existence out there. and to get improvements from the FAA or the state. That covered it?
Thanks.
So the terminal updates, when I first started there almost 2 years ago, one of the first things me and the family did was get the paintbrushes and rollers out and put a fresh coat of paint in there. It probably hadn't been done since it was built in '86. And then we were able to, this spring, Dave Ball Flying Club got a before and after picture of what there was for a little coffee nook, so to speak. The counter space wasn't adequate. The sink was about enough to wash your hands in. Now we've, Dave Ball Flying Club put in the cupboards there on the right with a double sink that you can wash your crock pots and our roasters in from the flight breakfast and these soup fly-ins. And it looks more presentable for the microwave. And I had some aerial photo survey working on Millard. They stopped 2 or 3 times this couple weeks ago, and they had their lunch break here and got gas from us as well. Well, that means they were working right here in the Harlan and Shelby County area on our photo surveys. So that's real beneficial. The office is only 5 rooms, and it's 1,008 square footage in those 5 rooms. It's got one large common area, which is a conference room / pilot's lounge / snack room, where a lot of our other airports in the area all have separate rooms for those. And then we got a private office and 2 bathrooms, and then a mechanical room. That's what makes up that. None of the windows are open, they're all fixed and sealed. So there's no fresh air movement in that building at all. Some of our funding, leftover funding money that we had for last fiscal year paid for new carpet and flooring for the bathrooms out of our budget and the main common area. Next slide. That was the Hangar 6 upgrade, which is, you'll see on the spreadsheet, our first non-aviation side improvements for years that was able to be done. And this was funded by the state. And that's a hard thing to get done because the priority is to do what's called the aviation side, which is your runways, taxiways, lighting, parking, any aircraft movement areas. One of the field systems, terminal office, and the hangars are the last thing they'll see funding from either the federal or state. If there's leftover funding and requests that aren't needed for, like I said, the air side, then we're able to do these kind of projects or get funding to help do those projects. And it's a huge improvement going to these either bifold doors or these hydro swing doors, which are one piece. The rail doors are just not adequate for keeping the hangars secure, keeping the hangars clean. Birds, dirt, coons were able to circumvent and get through these doors. So that was a huge improvement, that hangar. And that we need to do hangar 3 someday next, and besides build 3 others when the city gives us the $5 million.
Scott, we just approved the budget, you missed it.
We don't care about cars. But they help me out a lot, so we gotta take care of them guys too. Okay. Yeah.
Never know if you don't ask, right?
Right, yep. So up until 21, you can see everything was fall funding and requests were all going to the air side.
It's kind of tough to see there, but
Yeah. Probably can't get it zoomed or enlarged on the slide. Gene will have to provide that part, or that spreadsheet to you. And then the future plans, and we do have some non-air side requests that will be coming up that hopefully we can find funding for, which is very subjective, but it's going to probably help with this new bipartisan bill for helping infrastructure. We're going to get $159,000 for the next 5 years with 10% local match to go with that. So that'll help speed up doing our air side requirements and getting those improvements made. And so then we can probably start looking at to either pool the money together and build a hangar, or like I said, Hangar 3 has 7 doors that are rail doors that could be switched over, like the hydro swing doors that we did, or bifold doors, whatever might come in cheapest or we decide to do. We got a lot of options. The snow removal equipment building is another very needed item. Right now, we're presently trying to use hangar space to hold the snow plow and the tractor and mowers in right now. So that's kind of tying up a aviation spot. But that hangar is Hangar 1, which is right by the highway. It needs to go. It's not in the very best of shape, as well as Hangar 4, Hangar 2. They're kind of eyesores. So, anything else? Any questions?
Got one for Gene. I don't recall on our Harlan by the numbers, did we have any airport stats in that, the piece that you put together a couple months ago?
Yes, we had one for sure, possibly two. One was on
Okay.
aviation fuel.
It'd be a good thing to keep those in there.
Yeah, so again, with Scott's presence and being able to be more specific with data and track trends and.
Everybody's invited to come out and take a tour. Now that we got warm weather, you don't have to freeze.
We will be looking for a date. That's one of the items the commission will talk about at their next meeting, is to provide an opportunity for both groups of elected officials to do a walkabout. It's one thing to hear about it, see some great pictures and provide an overview. It's another thing to see it, experience it, and touch it.
Maybe have some coffee and drinks and Rise donuts and sit and talk about what we're gonna do for the airport.
I'll bring you bacon.
Okay. I need that in June.
No problem.
Do you have a date for your flight
I could bring
breakfast?
drinks.
The 19th.
It's always Father's Day.
19th?
It's always Father's
Father's
Day.
Day weekend.
It's Father's Day.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
that's right.
I think it's key to note that Scott tracking the data of the operations of the airport really helps for scoring on the federal projects and the state projects, because a lot of that prioritization is based on activity. And if there's nobody measuring it, we don't know how we score, we don't know where we place, and there's always opportunity for projects. But, you know, to Scott's, we just really appreciate what he's doing, his vested interest in, furthering the goals of the airport, and, making it so we roll out the red carpet for anybody who wants to visit the community. So it's very much appreciated, and we have a lot of projects we want to work on. We all understand that funding can be stressful or limited, but we're trying to pursue those opportunities that we have with some of the, especially the ag operations, that really provides a real opportunity for us to generate revenue at the airport and help us, further some of those projects. And I think that's probably a key component of what we're doing. In addition to that, trying to position the airport as a reliever airport for maybe some of the, the overhead hangar space in the Omaha Metro, Omaha Council Bluffs Metro area. We have inquiries, regularly, Scott, don't look for hangar space out
Yeah,
there.
and that's where it's coming from, is Omaha and Council Bluffs, because the congestion is so great there, and they're looking for easier access and cheaper access for storing their airplanes and stuff like that. And back to the competitiveness, general aviation is a small pie, and when we see the breakdown of how money is allocated, Des Moines, Omaha, Cedar Rapids, any of these commercial airports that are, in my opinion, are money generating revenue, are getting funded horrendous amounts of money. And the general aviation, for example, I think, I don't have the numbers, but it's something like 20 to 30 million that Des Moines Airport's going to get. But the general aviation airports, which is about 100, I think, in Iowa, something like, maybe not quite 100, but only going to see about 5 million. So that's kind of a quick snapshot of how the pie is getting distributed. Okay.
Well, Scott, we appreciate the efforts you've put in out there since you've been manager at the airport. It's really looking nice. And
And we appreciate
Scott McLaughlin and the rest of the airport commission, I think Sharon will back me up on this, they do a lot of thinking before they act on where they spend money, and they do have a kind of a long-range plan, which is, I don't believe has been there for a while, and is really taking some strides to look at the short-term and the long-term needs of the airport and kind of position it for a future. So I appreciate the efforts you guys all put in out there.
We thank you for your support. So.
Any other questions for those guys? Anybody in the room?
Can I make
Yes.
a comment?
Here, sure.
Just a funny story. I was lucky enough 3 years ago to be selected for the Delta Vacations Advisory Board. It's a 12-member board. We are by far the smallest agency represented. There are agencies out there that are worth billions. They have agencies in all 5, 6 different countries. So we got a visit from then the Vice President of Delta Vacations, Steve Diggleman, came with an executive team to visit us at our agency. And a few months later, he loved it here. A few months later, we were at a meeting in Atlanta with hundreds of people, and he was up on stage speaking, and he mentioned Ruschenberg Field. And he left his minivan door open in front of our agency, and the ladies left their purses in there. And he told the story about what a great community we were, the incredible restaurants we had, how they left their minivan open and nothing was taken out of it, which he said you would never see before.
Did you say it was just across the street from the police department?
Then he ended his presentation with a picture of him in front of the Ruschenberg Field sign and said, "I believe this may be our next stop for Delta Vacations in Harlan, right in the middle of the country." So it was pretty cool. I didn't know any of that until he spoke about it to me.
Scott, just one comment on your traveling cat. I'm glad the cat got on a plane and left.
Yeah. Yes, we don't need any more residents out there again.
Well, thanks again for your update tonight. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, we're moving along into 4B, to receive and file the Park and Rec Board minutes from the March 8th meeting. I'll receive those in the packet, I believe.
It was just a week ago.
Get a motion to receive and file those.
Motion?
Motion by Kroger,
Everybody went to sleep.
second by Blatt.
Roll call Shaven,
Aye.
Kroger,
Aye.
Blatt,
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
Thank you. Now to that meeting, we've got a couple of items here to, first is to review the recommendation for pool staff pay changes. And Gene, do you have some information on that with details?
Well, I do if I can get back to, somehow I just jumped out the internet there real quick, so I'm not sure what happened there. Let me explain it right there. This was information reviewed by the Parks Board last week. No surprise that the labor market and labor challenges impact all sectors. Doesn't matter if it's seasonal, full-time, part-time. Our swimming pool and seasonal help is just as impacted. I know that the past few years there have been adjustments made there as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tim. Again, Tim Miller's here as our park superintendent. That 2 years ago the hourly wage was Well, prior to 2 years ago, it was still 7.25, and then 2 years ago, moved it to 7.50. Last year, I believe, moved it to 8. Is that correct, Tim?
Actually, 2 years ago it was 7.25, and then we went to 8 last year.
Okay, so we didn't jump to
We
7.50.
didn't- No.
Okay,
If the lifeguards worked 100 hours and came back the next year, then they're eligible for a quarter raise. That was our starting wage, was 7.25 2 years ago. Went to 8 last year and then proposing this year.
so this is if you look at the bottom of this, this again was, some of you were at the Parks Board meeting last week, but this next recommendation needs to come to council and being recommended for this pool season. Should also add, we're not the only community looking at this. The communities across the state that operate pools are looking at the same elements. So the bottom table does reference that moving that base wage to $8.50 from currently $8, and then providing an incentive for hours worked that would be paid out at the end of the year. The top two tables or references are in regards to certification. A first-year certification, which is a 2-year certification, is a cost of $100 paid by the lifeguard, and then a recertification is a $50. If to provide incentive and help reimburse with that, based on hours worked, would reimburse a portion or all of that to reduce that barrier for an hourly employee. Using last year's statistics, just to give what's the potential financial impact, is that bottom number would be an approximate $9,200 overall impact using last year's data. So,
Part of those certification costs, are Red Cross costs, fees, they're getting their certificates, $40 for their lifeguard certification certificate that we have to have. Get a fanny pack and whistle, fanny pack with their CPR mask and other stuff. So that's a pretty hard cost of what it costs us of the $100 to train a lifeguard. So in the past, they've paid that all on their own, and now we're proposing that you work 100 hours, you get some back. You work 200 hours, you get some back. Part of the lifeguards, come and work 20, 30 hours a season. It's not really worth our time and effort and that, so this helps give an incentive that come and put in some hours, make some money, and let us pat you on the back too. So.
Tim, can you speak a little bit about the scheduling, how that works if someone cannot work their shift? Do they find their own replacement, or how does that
They're
work?
supposed to find their own replacement. The lifeguards have an app, I can't remember the name of the app, that all of them have, and put out there, hey, I can't work Friday, can somebody work for me? And if somebody can, then great. If somebody can't, they're supposed to still show up for their shift. It's a very popular app. It gets used quite a bit. Things come up all the time, we understand it, but you're supposed to find your own sub. To fully staff the pool in a day is 12 people. So 12 people, 7 days a week, and it turns out we need quite a few numbers of staff, so.
Prospects looking good for this coming pool year? People coming back? Or we haven't gotten that far yet?
We're still in the middle of that. This is a key component to answering that question. If you look at surrounding pools, we kind of did an informal survey. We've been on the lower end of our pay wage. This puts us in the middle to where we should be good. Some pools, I know last year there was a pool that offered $13 an hour and they didn't get any applicants. There's other pools that pay $7.25 an hour and they're full. So, it's kind of interesting where you're at and what the labor market
the Park
is.
Board did, for again, those of you who attended, we had assembled some data of area pools. So as Tim alluded to, this is more in the middle of that. Data I'm seeing from across the state is anywhere from $9 to $12 an hour. Again, a lot of factors go into that, right? So this was a proposal that came forth. Again, it's a base of $850 and can go up to $950 based upon hours worked. I think that's a reasonable start.
I like the incentives built in, both with the training, reimbursement, and the hours
I
worked.
believe that will help with staffing as well.
It helps staffing,
Yeah.
you know? You get into August, we need people to work, and that's where you get to your 100 and 200 hour thing, so, you know, it's, yeah.
Do you need final, or I guess,
Yeah,
final review by
any
council?
questions or comments on this? First, I'll say
It's a great idea.
thanks to you and the park board, just like the airport commission, we've got a bunch of committees, and they do put in time and effort to think about these things, and we've got some more things coming up here on the agenda that the park board has also thought about, so appreciate their time. So
Yes.
with that, I'd look for a motion to approve the pay, wage, and reimbursement schedule as presented.
Motion.
A motion by Kroger,
Second.
second by Shaben.
Roll call, Shaben,
Aye.
Kroger,
Aye.
Platt,
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
Thank you.
Also coming out of the Park and Rec meeting is a recommendation to install a well at J.J. Jensen Park and ball fields for irrigation purposes. And Tim and Jean, I suppose I'll let you talk about the reasons for that.
Yeah, well, excuse me, you know, if anybody's driven by Pioneer Pond and looked at the water level, you can realize we're in a pretty good drought still. Potable water is a very valuable resource. You know, communities finding that out last year and this year on how valuable that is, and really don't need to be using potable water for irrigation. So, well down at JJ for irrigation only, it won't be going into any concession stands and that, but for irrigation only, it's just kind of the obvious answer. A big part of it is we're not trying to get the grass green. The infields get really hard and unsafe to play on, so they need water. Last year, we were trucking water and trying to keep up with it that way. We did a decent job, but, you know, the playing surface was questionable at times. I mean, we had some pretty good bounces. So this was just a way to get off of the city water supply, get off of potable water. It would not affect anything, any of the aquifers or anything like that that HMU draws from for their public wells. And that, and just something that would really help out being able to have a better quality surface.
And it would help HMU's water supply a little bit. Every bit that doesn't draw out of that
Yep.
helps them.
Ken is on the phone as well. I know both Ken and Donald Coney from the water plant have participated in these discussions and planning. And you know, hindsight's always 20/20. This is probably something that should have been looked at 20 years ago, and is really a prudent, not only current, but also long-term solution. And it does, again, reduce demand on the current and long-term water supply. And again, the proposal, which was in your packet, was from a firm out of, Wilage is a reputable firm out of the Council Bluffs, Omaha area. And so the costs for their services were $17,000. And then there are some other costs that we would either look to, such as trenching and piping and some electrical that we would look to do with staff and or contract locally. And as far as where's the money coming from, this would be an impact of capital savings account, and we would actually draw from that this year and still fund for next year. That's probably the simplest way to explain it, but it's no impact to tax asking or the levy. That's probably the simplest way to explain that.
I know we talked about the payback on that investment over a number of years. It's 3-4 years, something like that.
Yeah, as we look at water usage, and we've done some trending, within 3 to 4 years, based upon water rates, and it would be, pay for itself in 3 to 4 years. So, once again, don't want to ever say a no-brainer, but a pretty sound approach. And I think it's definitely public purpose and being prudent with dollars. just need your approval and.
Any
talk to
questions or
Nick, get
comments
this in
from
April.
council?
So this would just be like a well station that's not metered, just like putting a hydrant out in the middle of wherever, and then they pull out water, but how's it monitored and locked up? Is there going to be a building around it? How are you going to keep it from
Center field.
center field right out there?
Unique feature out there.
Put a noodle on that.
So that's to be determined yet, Jay.
Okay.
And Tim, feel free to pipe in here, but as alluded to, which was in your packet and is also in this quote, so pump house or other means of protection are to be provided by us, that's still being developed.
Okay.
And I don't know if with Donald and others, if you further,
That's the cost we're trying to figure out what
Yes.
we can do internally with
yes.
city
If
people.
we forward this to the well itself,
That's estimated in the total 30,000, correct?
that's correct.
Okay.
Not to
So
exceed.
what we're gonna do with the well is Wylich has agreed, after we get approval, they're gonna come out, we're gonna help locate a perfect spot.
Guy with the
for
stick's gonna
well.
walk around.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, you know. I don't know how you find water 50 feet underground, but you know, hey, let the professionals do
Yeah.
that, you know.
Okay.
So they're gonna come out and help locate it, and then we're gonna walk through and say, okay, if this is where the well needs, are we close enough to a building where we can just have all the controls inside one of the buildings? Do we need to have a little shed out by there? What are we gonna need there, so.
That'll take care of all the diamonds then, boys, girls, little league, all that kind of stuff. Then we have to truck it to those places to get it there, or gonna run along a hose to do all this kind of stuff?
So
or-
that's part of what Gene was saying about the trenching. We're gonna
Okay.
The second
trench a
bullet
line.
point there.
Okay.
Yep, we're gonna have to trench a line to, we've got 2 different irrigation pits, one for the high school diamonds and then one for the Little League diamonds. Currently, there's no irrigation on field 3, but that's something that's been going to be looked into, but then still we have this water available, it'll be easy to do, so.
Yeah.
If you'd like, I can come down and hit a golf ball, it'll find the water for you. Easy fix.
Feel free. Oh, wait, no, we don't want that.
Any other questions or wiseacre comments?
Not that good.
Okay, if there's nothing else, then I would look for a motion to approve going forward with the installation of the well at J.J. Jensen.
Motion.
Motion by Kroger,
Second.
second by Blatt.
Roll call, Shaven,
Aye.
Kroger,
Aye.
Blatt,
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
Thank you, Tim, for the
Thank you.
information on that. Item 4C, then, resolution number 2482 to approve the budgeted transfers for fiscal year 21 and 22. This is James' wheelhouse.
These are transfers that have been budgeted, but we do have to pass a resolution, and we'll just start at the top. Local option sales tax, so we transfer that into our general fund, use it for many different things. As you recall, the vote, the ballot that was for this was 50% property tax replacement and 50% for infrastructure, buildings, parks, and streets. So these items have to qualify under those 2 categories. And cemetery, we've been giving that annual payment to them, that donation. Street construction, $10,000 for the park mower, $36,000 to go towards our parking lot rehab, and $265,000 for the benefit levy relief. So that is the half for the property tax replacement. The next item is also the employee benefit levy that gets transferred into the general fund that covers FICA, IPERS insurance, and the backfill utility excise tax. The TIF number 3, those are TIF projects that have already been assigned, approved on our plan that are eligible to use TIF dollars for. This money's already been spent. This is a reimbursement that comes back to us. So those items up there are all TIF items that have been approved and paid for, and this is a reimbursement except for the debt service for the bond payment. The emergency levy number 4, that's a transfer into the general fund. And then number 5, we're all familiar with our capital projects, capital funds projects. So we've been doing this for the last 6 years. We've been putting money aside for all our different departments so that they can plan ahead for expenses that might be a larger expense. And that's so we don't have this roller coaster effect in our budgets, so that we can plan ahead for some of these items and save for these. So this is just the 1 year of savings that we budgeted for. And the last one, the sewer fund transfer into debt service, was for the bond payment. That goes towards that. Any questions? I know we went over all of this during budget time, but this is a recap and a formal resolution to go ahead and make these transfers.
Any questions? Okay, I hear none. With that information, then I would look for a motion to approve resolution number 2482.
Motion.
Motion by Christensen,
Second?
second by Kroger.
Roll call Shaven. Kroger.
Aye.
Blatt.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, item 4D then, to look at ordinance 2022-04, amending chapter 69.08, subsection 28 of the city code pertaining to parking zone. And this is the third and final reading of this. And do you have your map again, Gene, or?
Can't go without a meeting for at least one map, right? A little show and tell, but just a reminder to everyone, or for those who are hearing for the first time, this relates to, this is Cyclone Avenue. The area in red is already no parking on both sides. This change or update to code is in the proposed yellow area with the, to improve safety down in the JJ Tenson Park area. Was brought to the attention of the council with the proposed new indoor batting and fielding facility. We've also constructed some off-street parking to accommodate a very similar number of cars that were parking on the north side, so I believe it's going to work out just fine with hopefully a final reading. We've not had any additional feedback
No, we have
or
not.
comments to city hall or staff on this.
We've had people ask why, when it was already no parking, but in the amendment, it's just restated the entire area.
Yeah, it's
So,
wrong.
well, why we had to restate to 59, but.
Any questions or comments? I've received no feedback either, so I'm guessing the council hasn't. With that, then I'd look for a motion to adopt ordinance 2022-04. Motion by Shaven,
Second.
second by Blatt.
Roll call Shaven.
Aye.
Kroger.
Aye.
Blatt.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 4E is to review an application for a street closing for the Roaring to Harlan Group. And you've got that in your packet as well. Looks like June 16th is the date.
Multiple dates.
Oh, that's right, they've got all of them on there, that's right.
Once a month.
Yep.
And again, been an event, successful event in the past. Helps put Harlan and Shelby County on the map. We've, at least from Public Works and law enforcement, have not had issues in the past with these street closings. And you can see where it's been at least reviewed and accepted by administration and staff. And Seth Johansson is the director, and I think hopefully maybe the first fully open event since COVID, wouldn't it be, Todd? They had some of the events last year, but.
Yeah, we had a couple of
certainly-
small events last year, but yeah, this will give us a chance to get back into the full swing of things, so to speak, when it comes to Roaring Harlan. And hopefully will be just the start of multiple events kicking downtown through the summer.
And they've added a car show as well,
Yep.
in
Yes.
addition to just motorcycles, so it's kind of a nice showing.
An event that seems to grow a little bit each year, so it's nice to see. Any other comments? If not, then I would look for a motion to approve the application for these dates and times for street closing.
Motion?
Motion by Kroger with a second by Shaven.
Roll call Shaven.
Aye.
Kroger,
Aye.
Blatt,
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
Okay, item 4F, and again, Kroger will abstain from this discussion and vote, is to review the 3-year solid waste and recyclables hauler license bids.
Pull this up, this is in your packet. Had 2 entities bid on this. They were sent out a request for proposal, same one as 3 years ago. Report on bids were Kroger and Sons and R&S. The net of all this, if you look in your packet, the 1.5 or 2 yard container, but if we, on R&S was for 1 year was $549.50. Kroger and Sons, that total is $464. The recommendation from staff, and the current provider is Kroger and Sons. So comparing apples to apples on a overall 1 month, so Kroger would be the low bid.
Any questions, comments?
Quality service, right? It's on top of that, I should say, right? I mean,
Yes, we've had no issues with the service.
Do you want me to lead? No.
All right, I would look for a motion then to approve the 3-year solid waste and recyclable haulers license bid to Kroger and Sons.
Moved.
Motion by Shaven, second by Christensen.
Roll call, Shaven,
Aye.
Blatt,
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
Noted, Kroger abstained.
Okay, item 4G then is to review agreement with public surplus for disposal of city assets.
Now, the agreement was in your packet. Just referencing here in the, this is a site called publicsurplus.com. It's specifically for government entities to advertise and dispose of assets. And we've utilized various methods in the past. Many of our peers do this, and we believe it's time we also dip our toe in the water and get some experience with this. We do have a loader that has been proposed, and it's actually with the budget that was just approved. We're replacing a loader next year, and loader would be good. So if you've been off the site, the link that was sent to you, would encourage anyone here as well. It's open to the public. Anyone can make purchases off there, but it's a reputable, large site to market and dispose of assets. Our city attorneys looked at the agreement. No issues there. And again, we determine the reserves, we determine the thresholds. We can accept an offer or not. We don't pay any fees. All fees are passed on to the buyer. So we just happy to answer any questions, or yet we would like your review and approval on this to proceed.
So is it with My Stuff, is that the name of the website or the business that we're working with?
Public surplus.
That's Public Surplus.
Public surplus.
Yeah, publicsurplus.com. Would you see My Stuff?
It's Paymac
It's
is.
the payment by credit card.
Clearinghouse.
My Stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they do all the posting for us, or do we do the posting?
Oh, we have administrative account, so that's part of the sign up, and then we would have an administrator here that does your posting, upload a picture, develop your reserve, allow so many days or weeks to bid. Some of you may have been on there, others have used these sites before, something similar where a countdown to bid, and you can bid up until the last 10 minutes and up your bid. So.
Any questions regarding this process of the agreement? Okay, I would look for a motion then to approve the agreement with Public Surplus.
So moved.
Motion by Blatt, second by Kroger.
Roll call, Shaven, Kroger, Blatt,
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye. Shaven.
Troy seconded that.
Troy,
His voice was a little higher, but not that high.
he went with the tenor on that one, so.
Okay.
So Shaven seconded that.
Shaven seconded it. I said,
Oh,
Sorry.
Sharon threw her voice over there, I think. Okay, item 4H then, receive and file insurance committee minutes from the March 11th meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Blatt,
Second.
second by Kroger. Just want to make sure.
Roll call Shaven. Kroger.
Aye.
Blatt.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
Okay, out of that meeting, we need to review the recommendation to renew our property and casualty insurance with EMC Insurance.
In your packet is what was provided to the insurance company. And on the council table, there was a spreadsheet that was provided by Brent that just shows year after year comparisons. I guess Jean's got it up there. And percentages of increase for each line item.
The insurance committee is composed of 2 HMU boards since we share these coverages with HMU as a city-owned utility. So again, Sharon, Jay, and Richard were on the committee. So we have 3 city council members and 2 HMU members. Had this presentation last week, reviewed coverages. Every line item of coverage which was in your packet, which you reviewed last week, such as this. Those that like the 30,000 foot view and show trending is this. So if you look at the 2022, the net is this 5.1% across all coverage lines. The highest being the property, and as our insurance agent spoke, and you've read the industry and know what's going on with property coverages with significant events such as derechos and highline winds have been contributing factors to that. But the net of all coverages is a 5.1%.
So these totals do include city and HMU together.
Yes.
Jean, is the law enforcement line correct? That last number?
The 24.6?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That is correct. That's gone up quite a bit because just, what's been going on in
nature of the
law
beast.
enforcement.
Yeah.
In terms of hard dollars, it's a $900 increase, but the premium, it's a $900 premium increase, but based upon the lower base of, on a percentage basis, it does reflect quite high, doesn't it?
Questions? Comments? Okay, I would look for a motion then to approve the property and casualty contract with EMC.
Motion?
Motion by Kroger,
Second.
second by Christensen.
Roll call Shaven. Kroger.
Aye.
Blatt.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
And related to that, then we need to review the recommendation to renew the workers' comp insurance with EMC.
And just one highlight there is you'll see on this summary coverage that due to it's a work comp with the, it's a 3-year rolling average. And as we continue to have focus on, safety and immediately reporting of any minor accident or tweak, because of those programs, the netted as a 10% decrease in our work comp. On the city side, law enforcement and fire department, doesn't matter if it's paid or volunteer, that in terms of how that's looked at from dangerous occupation and risk and exposure, those are the highest very high classifications from work comp. Nonetheless, a 10% decrease in the premium.
Okay, any other questions or comments? I would look for a motion then to approve the workers' comp insurance with EMC.
Motion.
Motion by Christensen,
Second.
second by Shaven.
Roll call Shaven.
Aye.
Kroger.
Aye.
Blatt.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
Okay, on to Mr. Getty's report.
Last meeting.
Cover can-
Keep going longer, Mr. Bigsley. He's got a challenge.
Not at all. We fared a couple of, I think, very important updates tonight. We discussed earlier about, with your review and approval of the well at J.J. Jensen. And along with that, I guess we've been reviewing, knowing what's looming ahead because of the drought and dry conditions this spring and summer. Again, I know Ken Weber from HMU is on the line. No surprise to any of us that another amenity or a key amenity for our summertime entertainment and activity is our swimming pool. We've been reviewing this for a number of months now. In fact, there's even been some public comment and input in the newspaper, which that's all wonderful and well administratively. We've been evaluating all options, and to provide an update to the council as well as public that essentially knowing the conditions with water restrictions, we're going into a water watch effective April 1st. The two main paths or channels that we're evaluating for the swimming pool are, we were denied an initial waiver request with IDPH. I shared that at a recent meeting. Also shared in your packet that we had 30 days to have them give it a second look, and we've made that request as of 10 days ago. So we made a formal request to have them relook at that waiver, and they have already responded. They've asked for additional information, so that's a good sign. Tim and staff have been responding to those comments all the way from what type of logs did you keep, what information do you have, what are more stats about the tanker truck being used, what type of signage is being posted. So we're following that path or channel. The other channel is working with HMU, that looking at the water policy that was adopted last year, and I believe at their next board meeting we'll be asking their board to consider adjusting the tier in which any restrictions would be placed on the public swimming pool. So for example, last year at tier 1, the public swimming pool couldn't use the potable water source, asking that for be to be looked at to move to a tier 2. The daily replenish, the replenish of water, again, that's water due to evaporation or due to splash out, or kids getting out of the pool. That's average of 6,000 gallons a day. What would be the impact on potable water? So I know expect the next board meeting that the HMU board will be looking at that. So those are the two channels or paths that we're looking at to ensure that our pool can safely and effectively operate this summer, and optimistic that one or both of those may come to fruition. I see Tim may have some comment or input on that as well.
I just came up just in case there are any questions.
And Ken's online as well, if Ken wants to make any comment, but.
This is kind of an emotional thing for me. Everybody wants the pool to be open. That's kind of a key thing, is we are doing everything we can to open the pool. We did it during COVID, we did it last year. Some way we're gonna figure something out.
Safely and responsibly, and
Yeah.
with everyone's support, so.
It's important to the community.
It is.
That's an update on that. Did you have any additional comments? Thank you, Tim. Any other comments or questions? Again, continue to keep you updated. If nothing more on that, I guess I did have one or two more just quick show and tells. It shared last meeting about the new sign installed at Potter Park. So the Parks team has got the additional installations done at North Park. So here's a photo of that. Again, consistent look. Then the one at Pioneer Park, this is the one along 12th Street. Consistent look as well. And then we've received financial support. We have some additional funds for other, I guess that's been restricted for fountains.
For water fountains, yep.
So, park signage update. It's always nice to have some show and tell, and I believe it's a nice looking sign. And again, the park board had a lot of input and made that determination. Last couple items, just a reminder once again that Friday, April 8th is our employee recognition. Yes, I got their GPS location on my phone, so I get to the right location here in town for that event.
Yeah.
And if you've not signed up yet, or I think most all of you have let us know, so get a good head count on that. A reminder that I'll be in Iowa City the balance of the week for a spring conference with the city and county administrators. Appreciate your support of my ongoing development and networking. So I'll be in Iowa City, still connected, but there the rest of the week. And then just wanted to express appreciation for Mayor Colby with his last official meeting in that chair. 2 weeks from today, which will be the 29th, from 3:30 to 5 here in council chambers, will be a public open house to share appreciation and thank you for Mayor Colby and his service, not only as recent mayor, but as council member and years on boards and public service and green playgrounds. And so, again, that's open to the public, 2 weeks from today, 3:30 to 5, cake, lemonade, coffee. And just wanted to share with you now, just thank you very much.
Thank you.
So that's all I have for my comments this evening. I could go on and on, but those are the highlights. Any comments or questions for me?
I'll see you. Thank you, Gene.
Thank you.
Okay, for Mayor's report tonight, we spoke about the airport a little bit tonight. We have an opening on the Airport Commission, so I would like to get a recommendation to appoint Larry Chapman to serve on that Airport Commission beginning April 1st for his 6-year term. And I do not know Larry, but he comes highly recommended. So.
I spoke with him again a few weeks ago.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion by Kroger,
Second.
second by Shaven.
Roll call Shaven. Kroger.
Aye.
Blatt.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
Thank you.
And I would like to reserve the balance of my time for the public comments later. So we will move along then to Todd Valine with the Shelby County Chamber of Commerce, if you'd like to update us.
Yeah, I'll give you just a couple of really quick items. One, just a reminder that this Saturday, 10 a.m. out at our atrium will be the next legislative coffee. And so we'll have both Senator Schultz and Representative Holt there to answer questions. March 23rd at 5:30, put on your calendar, there's going to be a parents' night out at Iowa Western Community College. And this is going to be for parents of high school sophomores and juniors. And this is all about the new CTE training that's coming into place. So it's going to show them the space, talk to them a little bit about this training that they're bringing in. And so looking forward to working that with them. And then finally, we were talking about Roar to Harlan being back, and another thing that we're bringing back is going to be our Administrative Professionals Day. April 27th, we'll have our Fun China Luncheon out at the Country Club. So that'll be at 11:30. Right now, anybody in the public who'd like to come decorate a table, please do. Just give us a call and we'll get you set up. And then that day we'll have seatings at 11:30, and it'll be $20 per ticket to attend the lunch. So we're looking forward to bringing that back. It's been missing for a couple of years, and it'll be fun to get back in the swing of celebrating Administrative Professionals Day. So outside of that, that's about all I've got for you today.
What's your date for the Iowa Western?
It is the 23rd,
March, April.
March, starting at 5:30.
I know you've been busy, I've been seeing you everywhere, so.
It is that time.
Never a shortage of meetings to attend.
No, exactly. All right, thanks.
Thank you, Todd. Moving on then to Ken Weber, if you're online, would like to give us an update from the municipal utilities?
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. A couple of things coming up at the next board meeting. We'll be considering some additional well maintenance. Hope to get 2 wells done between now and June, and then have 2 more wells after July 1st, the next fiscal year. So hopefully, between the 4 wells, it'll provide us a little bit more margin this summer, but of course the aquifer continues to drop, so it's still kind of a tough situation water-wise, but as Gene mentioned about the pool, we're trying to work with the city everywhere we can to make things work for the community. In addition to that, working with the engineers, we're scheduling the 69 kV line inspection. That's between the Mid-America Substation at Avoca and our connection through the J11 stuff with NIPCO and what comes into our system, so got that works. And then one of the changes that we made was we've kind of expanded the area for considering the applicants for positions. And originally it was a 15-minute response time. We've expanded that out a little bit. And as a result, we have been able to find some new employees. We have one of our newer employees is from Neola. We now have a lineman apprentice from up around the Denison area and a telecom tech from down by Walnut. So we have seen some positive things come out of expanding our response time a little bit as far as where employees, prospective employees live relative to the office. So that's just kind of the highlights, just geared up for usual summer work and activities. And at that, I'll open for any questions.
Any questions for Ken? You're very thorough. Thanks, Ken.
You bet. Thank you.
Okay, move along to public comments then. I would like to kick that off with a few thank yous as I sit in this seat for the last time. I just was jotting notes throughout the meeting here. I've gone over kind of why I've decided to resign this position and move on to other things, but I just want to thank the administration, Jane and Jean and some others, and the staff at City Hall have made being on council and the mayor kind of easy. They're always there to answer questions and give me advice on things. Employees throughout the city get very few complaints. Phone doesn't ring. Everybody asks me, do you get a lot of calls at home and people complaining? And really don't, which tells me that the employees out on the streets who are the first line of the public are doing a great job. Council members, current and past, really enjoyed serving with all of you. I've learned a lot over the years, and I knew most of you, or all of you, I guess, before serving with you on in these seats, but you really get to learn somebody over 8 years of budget work. We've had some tough times over the years to get through some things, but most of it's been good, and seen a lot of growth in the city, and lots of nice things have happened. The other community partners, school, HMU, Chamber of Commerce, Board of Supervisors, all of the partners that make a city click. It's been great to get to know people that run those and some of those employees, and it's just been all pretty seamless. Again, most of the time, very enjoyable work with all of those people. And lastly, the residents, I'd just like to thank the people of Harlan for letting me represent them for the last 8 years in these seats. So that's all I'm going to get through. So thank you.
Yeah, time, I think,
Good
March
job.
30th.
Yeah.
I got a 7 o'clock meeting. That's it. Any other comments, questions from anybody in the seats out there? Council?
I got, this is a public comment, just from, I would ask those entities that have pedestals in the community to go around and probably start looking at them. There's a lot of them are damaged, split in half, wide open. I know we've had a lot more wind per se maybe than last year or something like that, but there's a lot of pedestals that are, insides are visible. I mean, just walking around, driving around, you see a lot more. More recently I've seen that. I think it's up to our entities to maybe go around and check them out. Since I know we really don't have an ordinance per se as far as construction or.
Well, they're required, yeah, it's gotta be acceptable maintenance, so
Okay.
we'll certainly can do a courteous reminder, one of them being our public utility, but also we've got other franchises, Windstream, Mediacom, FMCTC, can all be provided a reminder, so thank you.
That's all I have. Really.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, well, I've never used this gavel in my last 4 years as mayor, but tonight I'm going to use it to adjourn the meeting.